What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Seahawks Now, your home for all things daily Seahawks news, rumors, and updates. We've got a great video for you guys today talking about Leonard Williams restructuring his contract with the Seahawks to help save some cap space. Plus, an NFL.com exclusive report says the Seahawks should extend Geno Smith and should make that their number one priority this offseason. We'll talk about if I agree with that, and we'll also be talking about whether I think we should pay DK Metcalf going forward. But first, guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel down below. Even click the bell for notifications if you want to, so you never miss another breaking news alert. Thank you so much for helping me reach 60 subscribers. It has been less than 3 weeks. We are closing in on our goal of 100 subscribers in the first month, so that is pretty cool. Hopefully we'll get there 100 subscribers by about a week and a half from now. That is the goal, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's get into the episode. Seahawks restructuring Leonard Williams' contract. Big Cat, as we like to call him. One of the biggest playmakers on the defensive line, and although the sack numbers are not always there, he's a really good player. I think he's proven that. He's proven his value. We traded for him about a year and a half ago, back in October of 2023. We traded for him from the Giants, and obviously it hasn't really worked out as far as playoff success. We did give up a second-round pick, but that second-round pick, I think it still has been pretty much worth it. We also extended Leonard Williams after last season, and he was meant to be the Seahawks' fourth highest cap hit going into 2025 behind only Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf. Well, the good news for the Seahawks, they were previously $30 million over the cap. Now they are only half of that. They're only $15 million over the cap. Why is that? Well, it's because they've restructured Leonard Williams' contract. So thank you to Leonard Williams for being open to that. But basically what they did is they just moved the money around. Leonard Williams is not going to get less money, but it's just been transferred to a cash bonus. So he, instead of getting that money later on, he gets it right now, and it's not going to count towards the cap hit. So about $15 million of what he would have been paid for the next season, he's going to get it as an advanced cash bonus instead, and that helps the Seahawks. We're about halfway there now to getting under the salary cap limit. The salary cap is $280 million for next year. Right now, the Seahawks are, for the first time, below that $300 million threshold, so they have to get below $280, and most likely the way they will do that is by restructuring another contract, which would be Tyler Lockett's. And again, if they just keep on pushing money down the road and then give it as cash bonuses, then it doesn't affect the salary cap. So that's what they are going to most likely do there as well. All right, guys, I want to talk about an NFL.com article. According to NFL.com, NFL Network, the Seahawks need to extend Geno Smith and make it their top priority. According to Kevin Patra of NFL.com, he says Smith is not the problem. Forget about trading him. He's earned another extension that will provide guaranteed dollars and a few more years while lowering his cap number. And again, coming back to the salary cap, he's right about that. If the Seahawks extend Geno Smith, they can most likely get that salary cap number down. Right now, his cap hit is about $40 million. They could get that down to in the $30 million range if they give him an extension, a couple more years. They'd pay him less annual value in this extension he's proposing, but they would spread the money out over more years. And do I agree with this? Honestly, I don't. I don't think that should be the Seahawks' top priority. I happen to agree much more with the CBS article that we talked about last week that said the Seahawks' number one priority should be to re-sign Draymond Jones. I think that is much more important than extending Geno Smith. Look, Geno Smith, he's a fine quarterback. He's good at times, even sometimes great, but he's going to be 35 next year. He has a single playoff appearance in 14 seasons in the league, and he has 0 playoff wins. So do I think he's the solution long-term? No, I don't. Now, again, I'm not saying Geno Smith couldn't win a Super Bowl. I'm sure he could, right? Technically, anyone can, right? Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. So I'm not saying that there's no scenario where Geno Smith wins a Super Bowl. But what I am saying is this. Geno Smith, for him to win the Super Bowl, everything needs to be right. The Seahawks would need to have the best coach in the Super Bowl. They'd have to have an elite head coach, an elite defense, an elite offensive line, an elite running back, elite weapons, elite wide receivers. It would have to be the whole 9 yards, elite special teams. So that is the path that the Giants, with Eli, that's the path of the Ravens with Trent Dilfer and with Joe Flacco. That was kind of the path with Russell Wilson, a little bit. And that was certainly the path with Nick Foles, because although obviously the Patriots had the better coach, but the Eagles that year were stacked on defense. They were stacked in the O-line. And they were stacked weapons-wise. So the idea that Geno Smith, if he has a super team, if he has a literal super team, he could win the Super Bowl. The problem is it's hard to make a super team. Look at the 49ers with Brock Purdy and Jimmy G. Now, I think Brock Purdy and Jimmy G are very similar quarterbacks to Geno Smith in the sense that they're all three of them, when there's not a whole lot of pressure, when they're able to play the way that they want to play, all three of them can be really, really good. All three of them can win a lot of games, even with the 49ers super team. And it was. Really good offensive line, really good defensive line, really good secondary, elite weapons, elite tight ends, elite running backs, Christian McCaffrey, great head coach, Kyle Shanahan. They couldn't win the Super Bowl. So I don't know what to say, except I don't think Geno Smith can do it under that scenario, when the best the 49ers could get is lose the Super Bowl. Again, could it happen? Yes. What are the chances? What are the chances that Geno Smith can win a Super Bowl at 35? If Brock and Jimmy G with a super team couldn't do it, very similar level quarterbacks, they couldn't get the job done, and they had a super team around them. So the Seahawks could try to form a super team around Geno Smith. That still isn't a guarantee of success. A much better guarantee of success having a star quarterback, right? Look at Mahomes. Look at Matthew Stafford. Look at Lamar Jackson, who hasn't won the Super Bowl, but he's come pretty dang close considering he plays in Mahomes' division. Look at Tom Brady before them. Tom Brady and the Patriots, those were not perfect teams by any means, right? Their offense was bad in the last few years. They had bad receivers. They had bad running backs. Look at the Chiefs. Their defense was terrible at first. Now they're like the Patriots. Their receiving core, they traded Tyreek Hill. Their offensive line has been injured all year long. Look at Matthew Stafford with the Rams. He didn't have an elite defense. He had an elite defender in Aaron Donald. What makes those guys different? It's because they were able to elevate their team. So a quarterback like Geno or like Brock Purdy or like Jimmy G, they don't elevate the team. They can manage the team, and if they have a super team, they can succeed. But they can't elevate the team the way Mahomes or Brady or Stafford or Lamar or Peyton Manning could do. And you're probably saying, well, the chances we get a superstar quarterback are so low, we should just stick with Geno and hope for the best. Maybe the chances are low. I'd rather do that. I'd rather take my chances to get a star than to continue to roll year after year with a guy whose peak has been 9 wins. That's just me, though, guys. So I disagree. I don't think extending Geno should be the number one priority. Look, if we have to extend him, we have to extend him. Because eventually it's going to get to the point where we either have to extend him or we have to get somebody else. But personally, I would not make it the top priority. I think the top priority should be the offensive line and the defensive line. It should be drafting linemen in the draft, and it should be re-signing Draymond Jones. All right, finally, I want to get into this question. Should the Seahawks pay DK Metcalf this offseason? DK Metcalf, star wide receiver. He's going to need to get paid soon. He has 1 year left with the Seahawks, and then he's going to also be looking for an extension. How much should the Seahawks pay him? I think I should rephrase the question. How much would I be willing to pay DK Metcalf? Because DK, he's going to want top market value. He's going to want $22, $23 million a year. Right now, for an elite receiver, the going price is $25 million a year. I don't think DK can get that, but I think he can get 20, 21, maybe even $22 million. I think if I'm the Seahawks, I would cap it at 20. I think if DK is willing to come for $20 million a year, if he's willing to extend for $20 million a year, you do it now and lock him up. If he's not willing to extend, if he wants to play out next season without a new contract, that's okay. Let him test free agency. I'm not willing to go over 20 million because I don't think DK Metcalf is a top 10 receiver. And right now, only the 10 or so best receivers are making 20 million. Look, DK's a great receiver. He's not Jamar Chase. He's not Justin Jefferson. I feel like I'm being kind of negative in this video, guys. I'm sorry about that, but I'm just like, the stats are not terrible, but the stats are not, that's not Justin Jefferson level. That's not Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's not Jamar Chase. It's not Puka Nacua. He's good. He's a good receiver. I think I've said before, I think he's top 15. I think he's certainly top 20, and he's in that conversation for top 15. Not a top 10 guy, and I don't think I would pay him more than $20 million a year. Look, $20 million is a lot of money for a receiver. And especially when you do have Jackson Smith and Jigba in-house, that's what makes it an easy call for me. I'm not going to overpay on DK. So if I was the Seahawks, I would offer the extension right now at $20 million a year, but I would not budge and go any higher. And if DK turns it down, and if he wants to test free agency next season, then go for it, I would say. And then offer him the same exact contract next year, $20 million. Unless he has maybe next year he will have a breakout year and he will prove he is a top 5 receiver. But in my opinion, right now, we cannot afford to pay the 15th best receiver like he's the 5th best receiver. It's tough to overpay on stuff like that. Anyways, guys, those are my takes. I understand if you have disagreements, let me know down in the comments. I'm willing to hear you guys out. I'm willing to hear your arguments, and let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about in tomorrow's video. With all that being said, guys, hope you have a great end of the week. Tomorrow is Friday, so that will be awesome. Enjoy that. Enjoy the weekend, and enjoy the Super Bowl. I might talk tomorrow about the Super Bowl a little bit and what I think the Seahawks' long-term plan should be in order to get back to the big game. With all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, go Seahawks.